Welcome to the healing art of being you. Today we're talking boundaries, specifically around our digital spaces and the content we're allowing to take up space in our minds. We live in this hyper-connected society with a constant stream of information and influence right at our fingertips at all times. Be it television, social media, news feeds, or digital communication, every morsel of media we consume is being archived into our brains, creating neural pathways and defining our perspective on the world around us. It's important to be able to identify what types of content elevate your psyche and what messaging is throwing a wrench in the gears of your healing journey, leaving you feeling disconnected from self or overwhelmed with negativity. We're here today with an open-hearted discussion on how you can safeguard your psyche with actionable steps to tailor your experience of technology so that it can support your mental health instead of hindering it. We'll help you learn how to create an environment that allows you to show up every day from a calmer, more grounded state of mind. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Chelsy and Allison.
Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Art of Being You podcast. Today, we are talking about guarding your psyche from low vibrational content, which is a fancy way of saying blocking out all of the garbage so that it doesn't infiltrate your mind and make you also feel like garbage. So,
otherwise known as boundaries.
Or that. That is an easier way of saying it.
I like yours better.
I mean, it's more descriptive.
Yours is better. Yours is way better.
So basically, we all know there's like a whole bunch of crap. There's just like a whole bunch of crap all around us. And it's really hard to like not have that just like weigh us down on a regular basis. Like, how do you stay informed of what's going on in the world and then also not simultaneously feel massively depressed by what's going on in the world?
Right.
It's really hard. What would you say is your like the thing that tends to sneak past your boundaries more than anything else? Like, where do you find that your negativity comes in more? Is it in the form of like social media? Is it in the form of your own thoughts? Is it in the form of other people around you or the TV shows or the movies that you watch? What tends to be your biggest like, I let that one in again?
Yep. For me, it is definitely the people around me. And it's taking on what they are feeling at that time. So a lot of times, it'll be like, whether it's chaos or overwhelm or anxiety or whatever the case may be, I will manage myself in theory. And what I'm really actually ending up doing is likely taking it on and being like, okay, owning it. Yep, this is my responsibility. This is where the stories start. And so it then tends to be like, these stories get pretty far out, right? So it's like you have an event happening with a friend or, an acquaintance, and I then pick up on their energy and create a whole story of why that is my responsibility, and somehow I'm letting them down in some way, shape, or form. So it's definitely the stories and the life happenings and suffering of others that then tends to sneak past my little boundaries because we trigger that survival and savior complex. It's like, I got it. It's okay. I'm fine. I just want to help you. But at the same time, that's not mine to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you? What makes it past your boundaries?
Honestly, it is like professional storytelling. So whether it's in the form of books or in the form of movies or TV shows, I try to do a really good job of like guarding myself from that. Like, I don't watch horror at all. I can't get it out of my brain in any way, shape, or form. I also limit quite a bit of suspense that I watch because, again, I can't get it out of my brain. Yep. Like, to the point that, like, I am convinced when I walk around the corner someone's going to attack me, and I literally, like, I'm walking around my house with my hand clenched in a fist. It's like, this is good for no one. But the problem is that I genuinely love the story that's being told. And it's not like I think this is, like, a beautiful story that everyone should hear. It's just like,
captivating.
It's so captivating. I have to know what happens. So I find that I know what happens in a lot of horror movies simply because I get on Wikipedia and I read the plot line and like action for action of what happened. Because if I see it being shown to me, it is in there and I can't unsee it. I can't unhear it. And so, sometimes when like the timing is right, the right person's there, the mood is right, all of a sudden I find myself getting sucked into a movie or a show or something like that. And then I'm like, well, I guess I will just see you all in a week after I've been a zombie because I haven't slept. Like I can't, and I can't turn it off.
Right.
That's the other thing is like it kicks in that like addictive part of my brain where it's like I'm sitting here knowing this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You will not be able to sleep after this. You are also going to like stress dream of every single one of your family members and loved ones in this exact same position. Why are you doing this to yourself? And the response is because I have to know what happens next. It's like, why? You don't. Just look it up online. Look it up online. Yeah, it's real bad. It's real bad. And I'm like, I like read a book series, and I try not to get involved in any series until they are completed.
Yeah.
Because then I can like read ahead of what's actually going to happen. And I know
jonesing for it.
I mean, I have to know, is this person going to live through this event? I have to know. And it's like, if I can save myself from having to watch the events unfold and I can just know this person is going to live, then I can just like skip through that and just get to the next episode. I don't need to know all this stuff.
I love it.
It's really bad because the imagery for me, the imagery sticks with me. I do pretty well with people. I've gotten a lot better over the years of not owning other people's suffering. It still sneaks in because I think just if you have compassion for life, it sneaks in, you know?
Yep.
I have curated a pretty good social media feed where I'm not hearing and seeing a lot of the stuff that I don't really want to hear and see.
Right.
But it was also a very conscious effort.
Absolutely.
Because I think that COVID was a really rough time. I think it was a very politically charged time, and I think it was a very polarizing time for people. And it was very easy to sit there and like either read something and be like, yes, absolutely, or read something and be like, these freaking people are walking the planet. Like, these are other humans that we have to deal with. Are they ridiculously stupid? Like, what's happening here?
Yep.
You know? And the problem is that people on both sides thought the exact same thing with each other.
Exactly.
You know?
It was like extreme.
It was super extreme. I think that anytime that there's an election season, I think that that's incredibly polarizing as well.
Absolutely.
And so what I ended up having to do actually was like a very conscious effort of like when there was somebody who would post a lot of things like that, it was just always see less of this person, see less of this person. And so I, over time, was able to curate a feed of funny memes, inspirational quotes, and like workout videos.
Right.
That's pretty much all that. It's either like comedy, personal growth, or like ideas for workouts where it's like, you know, oh, that looks interesting. I wonder if my body can do that kind of thing. And so now I really don't see a lot of the other kind of stuff because it's what I have like intentionally spent the time to curate. So yeah, if you're noticing like, oh my God, I hate Facebook. It's so doomsday. It's so catastrophizing. Well, it's probably because you've spent too much time reading the things that like Facebook is like, oh, they like this. Let's give them more.
Exactly.
And then what we perceive becomes our reality. So we perceive that everything is terrible, and then therefore we are looking for evidence that everything is terrible. And that just throws us further into the spiral. Whereas if you allow yourself to just like consciously go and like block all that kind of stuff out and just say, I am only available for positivity. And positivity doesn't mean ignorance.
No, we're not talking we're not talking toxic positivity.
No, where it's just like
that's not the case.
Everything's great and wonderful and this world has no problems. It's not that.
No.
But it's more the proactive content. The more the
optimism.
More the optimistic side that like humans still have a role to play in bettering the world.
Yes.
We're not just screwed.
Yes.
You know?
Amen. Oh my gosh, yes.
It's not that everybody in power is an idiot. There are some people who are still trying to help. There are some people who haven't sold their soul to the devil yet.
Absolutely.
There are still ways for us to improve.
Yeah.
And even if we can't rely on people who you think you can rely on, there are other communities on the ground level that are trying to do the work.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
And there's still people who put those people in power.
Right.
We still have autonomy.
We still have some autonomy there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said this. The thing that actually sticks out to me is I am definitely not the person who's like clenching the fist and ready for the attacker around the corner by any means. But I actually have like a pretty strict like no TV rule before bed because I can't turn my brain off. I can't turn, my nervous system is so activated. And the ironic thing is that typically when I break this rule, it's with the intention of connection with Matt, with my fiance. And we because I love a good Netflix binge like anybody else, right? But I can't do it before I'm going to go to bed. And likely his taste when it comes to entertainment is suspenseful. It's action. It's that stuff, right? And so I can actively see that when the TV goes on, even if I'm wearing the blue light glasses, even if I have him turn the blue light all the way down, right? I'm still awake for like 2 to 3 hours after that TV turns off, no matter how hard I try to shut it down. And it's truly something that, interestingly enough, isn't as like conscious as like, okay, no, I know that this is, I can't watch the horror, I can't do this. Like it's behind the scenes pattern that I'm like, no, I can't do this, right? And the story for me was, it was the light, not the nervous system activation of needing to know what happens, or even just being in an elated state watching something joyful or comedy, right? Like it's still activating and bringing me into the story that then doesn't allow me to like rest and digest afterwards and decompress.
Right. Yeah, you and your orange phone, I can't. Oh my gosh.
I work night shift, friends, so my phone stays on night shift, and it's like a thing.
It's like an orange screen. I'm like, how do you even see? Like, although I did take a page out of your book and I did turn on my like nighttime mode or whatever between like 9 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Look at you.
And it's real trippy though, because if I'm on my phone at that time where it's like 8:58 and I'm like just like answering some messages or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like I was like, oh god, I hate that orange screen. And that's one of my best motivators to get off my phone, because I'm like, I don't want to look at this anymore. So putting boundaries for myself, because I know I want to sit there and scroll on my phone, but I don't like the way it looks when it has that orange screen to it. But I'm like, well, that's one way to get around that process of trying to get rid of the phone. But that's interesting that you talk about, because I know that you have your own history with ADHD, and you know, anybody who's listened before knows my husband also has ADHD, and I'm like a magnet for it. And come to me, all of my friends with ADHD. But for him, he can't get his noise is so much that he has to have something on, but nothing he has to pay attention to. So he'll watch the same thing over and over and over again. So like, I think we have seen the episodes of Friends. I think we've gone through Friends. My guess is we've been through all of the seasons at least. I'm going to guess 15 to 20 times. And like, but he'll have it like, I told him, I was like, I really want to get to a process where I am not sleeping with the TV on.
Yeah.
So he'll sleep with like headphones on. So he's not really watching it, but he's just like listening to it. And he has a few different comedies that he just like cycles through. But for a while there, he was super into watching Bones, which is not a comedy. It's like a murder mystery type of situation. Right. And what was really weird when talking about like blocking out this content for us is I started waking up in the middle of the night with nightmares, and very, very real nightmares where I'm like, tears are streaming down my face. And like, he would wake up, he's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm not okay. So he would kind of like bundle me up, and just like, we would just kind of sit there, and I would fall back asleep just feeling safe again. And then in the morning I was like, God, I had the craziest nightmare. And I would start telling him about this nightmare, and he was like, that might have been my fault. I'm like, how would that have been your fault? He was like, so, because I told him, like, I don't want to watch these things before bed.
Yeah.
So he and I would watch a show, like a comedy, and then after I fell asleep, he would then turn on Bones.
He'd start the Friends, and then you were in the slumber,
and then I was like, and now it's time for Bones. And he's like, so I turned on Bones after you fell asleep, and this was the episode that happened, and it was my dream.
Yeah.
And I was like, how crazy is the brain? Like,
so crazy.
That's bonkers. And it happened on like enough occasions that he was like, we kind of just came to this agreement. They're like, okay, no more Bones in the bedroom. It wasn't like it was just like this one time, some things kind of like happened to drip in while I was in a certain sleep cycle and my body held on to it. It was like, nope. Every single time you turn on Bones, I end up having a nightmare that somebody in my family has been murdered. And I wake up in these like hot, sweaty, tear-induced, very real dreams. And this is not going to work for me anymore.
Yeah,
so now he like does not. Well, we don't have the TV on anymore. But at that time, he was like, okay, no more Bones at bedtime. He's like, he's perfectly fine listening. I'm like, how do you not?
Right.
How are you perfectly fine with this? Because it doesn't bother him. But yeah, for me, I'm just like, I
love that you pointed that out, because truly, like, we talk about it all the time in the body code. the energy of what you're consuming very much impacts your physical body. And a lot of times, this is something that people don't think about because it's just entertainment. It's just TV. It's just a video game. It's just this. It's just that. And I can't tell you how many times kids, especially with video games and with entertainment, they have patterns that get trapped in their body related to this energy that's happening. And I honestly saw it with my fiance in a very interesting way. There was a disagreement, if you will, very early on in my spiritual journey that had a lot of, there was ego to it. Well, we'll call a spade, but it was very much like he was doom scrolling and was losing his mind about what he was seeing. And I was like, I just don't understand why you let them have access to your energy like that. Like, the world is hard enough as it is. We have enough problems as it is. Like, why is it that you are allowing them the opportunity to ruin your day the minute that you wake up? And he was like, well, don't we think we're superior now? All the things, right? But it was true. It was something that like was a really, really big indicator for me that I was like, no, like that is toxic. That has a huge impact on your state of mind, your peace, your inner peace, and the way that you interact with people from here on out, and just the overall anger that you feel throughout the day. And it's unnecessary. So maybe we should make some adjustments. And he's a manifester, so he's not really one to take advice or be told anything. Fair enough. And so it definitely happened like in this organic kind of way where just the other day he said to me, he was like, I think I've done enough work on my newsfeed now that all I get is car posts, car videos, and like golf and animal videos. I'm like, look at you go. And that's not someone who would openly identify that any of this energy within what he's consuming impacts him, but it absolutely does. And he can see the benefit now. And he can even see, he's like, yeah, I can see when I have been, consuming all of this stuff, that then when it comes time to put the scrubs on and go to work, it's like, I'm not in the mood. I'm not in a good mood. I'm in an angry, hateful mood, and I'm just bitter and upset. And ultimately, it's because I have all of my energy outside of me, worrying about all of these things that ultimately you really don't have control over. Because that's the idea of it being put on your feed, right? Is to be put there so that you are being pulled into it, but it's typically not something that you can actively like change or do anything about. It just is causing that trigger.
Right. Well, because at the end of the day, social media is a business, right? Like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the different platforms. They're just a business. They're looking to make money. They make money by you being on them. So the happier, or I shouldn't say happier, the stronger the emotion is that you have while you're there, the longer you're going to be there. And we don't, they are definitely capitalizing on that addictive part of our brains, But at the end of the day, they're a business. It's a good business model. Terrible for human beings,
right?
But a good business model. And so they're doing what they're doing as a business. The cool thing is, as a consumer of the business, we get to determine how we want to cultivate our experience.
Absolutely.
And if you are somebody who feels like I lose hours on social media, I get very strong emotions on social media, I just feel this like pit in my stomach, or I notice I'm always just super irritable after we're done with this. Well, that might be a great place for you to start setting a boundary with yourself and with your technology. If you're somebody who responds well to timers, I am not. I can set a timer and be like, okay, I'm going to finish this task at this time. And it'll be like, the timer will go off and I'll be like, well, I only have like a half page left. I'll just finish this page. And then I'm like, and I'm back in my story. I'm not leaving. So timers don't work great for me, but they do work for some people, which is fantastic. But if timers don't work for you, then maybe work on like curating your feed, figuring out what it is that you actually want to see. And if you find that it's something that's giving you a strong undesired reaction, just hit, see less of this, or whatever it is, or hide this, or whatever platform, they have different terminology. So just just tell the algorithm, I don't like that, right?
That's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me, right? Because at the end of the day, like, social media is an ever-evolving entity, right?
Absolutely.
So it started off as connection, and then it kind of turned into entertainment, and now it is like an entertainment / informative platform. Like, there's you can choose to find great information out there. You know, you can choose to doomsday scroll. But either way, what you're finding on your feed, if you're not sure what you're being bombarded with in life, if you're not sure what is dragging you down, immediately go to your social media feed and see what it's telling, like what it's showing up for you. That is a fantastic indication of what you are choosing to give your attention to. And it's not just that you're choosing to give your attention to it while you're on the app, you are choosing to see it out and about wherever you go.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like, it's just, if you're looking at stuff and it's all about selfish people ruining the world, yada, 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 and then you go to drive to work and somebody cuts you off, you're immediately like, oh, that person's so selfish, yada, yada, yada. And it's just like, well, maybe. But if you spent the morning and you're looking at things about grace and patience and understanding that everybody has a story, and then you're on your way to work and somebody cuts you off, then you might be more likely to be like, oh, geez, that person's probably in a big hurry.
Right.
I hope everything's okay.
Forgiveness, absolutely,
you know?
yep.
And it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of work. But it's just taking out those things that just make it way harder to reach your goals, you know?
Absolutely.
So that's the social media, my little social media rant.
No,
because it can be a really great experience.
It can.
It doesn't
It
have to
absolutely
be. It can be a great way to connect with
That's
people
what I was going to
who
say.
have
I
like
feel
minds.
like people can also utilize your social media for good, right? So it is also something that like we have control over that. If you are someone who regularly feels like they utilize social media to vent or to express negative emotion, maybe that's an opportunity to deep dive within yourself and see like, okay, why am I bringing this here and what do I hope to gain from it? Is it connection? Likely, if I'm going to sit down and be honest with myself and like really look within, I'm going to find a lot more connection there than I would putting this out for the masses. And in addition, you know, like, subscribe, share. It is something that, like, if you are seeing something that really does positively benefit you, then that's when you share that out in the world. And you can also help control that narrative. I think that that's super powerful. And I also think that the concept of we are absorbing everything around us at all times, even when we're asleep, is not something that is very well known, or at least brought to the awareness of others. And that's a huge, huge, huge moment. So when you're sleeping, if the TV is on, you're not getting the rest that you need. You're not getting the rest that you believe that you're getting either. Your nervous system is still activated and your brain is in a desynchronized state, so you're more open to things like hypnosis. So when you hear things over and over and over again, and they are emotionally heavy, horror, pain, sorrow, fear, all of those things, that's going to have a huge impact on you, even if you were just the sleeping bystander.
Yeah, because you wake up in the morning and then you start having the physical feelings, the tightness in your chest, just that overwhelming sense of kind of like gloom going into your day of just like, I mean, I feel like we've all woken up that way, like, oh God, this day's going to be terrible.
Yeah, you don't even
like,
I
don't even know why, but I don't want to do today, you know? And it can be because of all that kind of like messaging that you're picking up because we're not putting up the boundaries to be like, you know what? It's not super helpful. If I want to watch something that's more suspense based, I'm probably going to watch it at, 12 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, where I have the entire day to put a lot of other more positive things in my brain, you know? And just kind of letting us
intentional.
Be more intentional about like that type of stuff, you know, and like what is your purpose behind seeking that? Just like you said, if you're going to vent on social media, what is your purpose? Are you looking for support? Are you looking for connection? Like, are you looking for other people to tell you how great and wonderful you are? Because all of those are screaming inner work. All of those are screaming like, hey, you need to start loving yourself. And you might not know how to do that.
Right.
A lot of people don't know how to do that. I certainly didn't, you know? Like, it takes a long time.
It's a practice.
It's practice, and it takes work, and it takes outside assistance to get there for most people. I mean, you get some people who are unicorns that just have that inner knowing and stuff like that. But most people need some help to see it. So how do you get because you mentioned kind of at the beginning that you feel like it's more the people around you that tend to like bleed in their emotions that you just kind of like pick up.
Yep.
What do you do to kind of get yourself that boundary there to kind of not absorb that?
Yeah, I definitely take some space. My first go-to is like, okay, I am feeling activated by the energy that I'm being met with. So I'm going to remove myself from that energy. Typically, it is me just going into a different room, taking a couple minutes, deep breathing, trying to find some peace of mind within myself, and then ultimately asking myself what it is I'm feeling. What emotion am I feeling? Is that mine or is that theirs? And I will be honest with you, there is a wonderful book called Self-Care for the Self-Aware. And it talks about energy and the ability of empaths to bring in the energy of their surroundings, right? And feel it and truly embody it. And it gives a very wonderful visual where it's like an open hole in your heart that you can feel it, but it gets to pass through. You don't have to hold it. And so really getting myself into that visualization of like, okay, hold on a second. I know that I'm going to experience the sensations of others when I'm in their space. At the same time, it's my responsibility to make sure that I don't let that trigger me, because if I do, then I'm going to be the one screaming at you and I'm going to be the one all, whatever. And like, I don't want to do that. That's not how I enjoy existing. So very much identifying that there are emotions and everyone is entitled to their own reality, and I can support them and show compassion towards them without taking responsibility for them. So really it's that space and having that time to go within and find clarity. And that's not easy to always get. Like, let's be honest here. Like, it's not always easy to be like, hi, I'm going to need you to stop whatever it is that you're talking about or doing or like forcing on me right now, because I've got to escape for 5 minutes. Like, that's not an easy conversation to have a lot of times, because they're like, this shit needs done, or whatever the case may be. But over time, practicing, I've gotten a lot better about it, and the people around me are so much more receptive to it. And so even like I get questioned, like Matt, if I'm feeling off, like I was feeling off this past weekend, and he's like, do you want to talk about it? Like, I might surprise you. What are you feeling? And I'm like, okay, now we're keyed in on what's going on within my existence. What do I do, right? It was just this mind-blowing moment that I was able to realize and see that, like, because I'm getting better at showing up for myself, he's getting better at letting me show up for myself and understanding that's what I need and how to support me through it, rather than the gut reaction, which a lot of us do, is to invalidate and devalue, because what pain they are experiencing is triggering you and you can't feel that.
Well, because I think about, like, people hear it all the time, I feel like, especially with close ones, is like, you don't even care.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not as upset as I am, you don't even care. So it trains us to mirror their response,
Absolutely.
Oh, if they're upset about this, I need to also be upset about this in order to show them that I am compassionate and I care. And then in the process of doing that, now we own the feeling, we own the solution, which we have no part in. So then it just festers in us, hoping a solution presents itself for this person who's actually experiencing it. And then now we're obsessing about it. How did that thing go? How did this resolve? Blah, 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 blah. And we start obsessing about it. And it's like, no, I can still be supportive of you. I am so sorry this is going on at work. What can I do to help?
Right.
Do you need somebody to talk to? Do you just need to like rant and yell for a little bit? Do you want to go for a walk? Like, what's going to work best for you here?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean like, she is a jerk. I cannot believe she did that. The next time I see her, like, we don't need to be that person. We don't need to get all hyphy with it,
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that my best technique for helping it is like, I love the do not disturb function on a phone. It is by far my absolute favorite thing. My do not disturb, I would say realistically, is probably on 70% of the time, maybe more than that. Because what it does is, number one, it helps me stay very present in the thing that I'm doing in the moment. You know, I feel like there is nothing, maybe this is just a trigger for me, but I find it very, like, it sets the tone for me if somebody, like, if I'm sitting down with somebody and they go and they set their phone on the table right there. Even if they, like, flip it over and they're, like, not paying attention to it, you can still hear it buzz. You can still see, and it's like, you know, they're looking at it. Or people who have, like, a smartwatch and they're doing this kind of thing. Like, it's probably just a trigger for me where it's like, I'm trying to give you everything that I am in this moment, and you are clearly splitting your focus between other things that you think are a competing priority. Why would I want to give you all of my attention?
Right.
You know? And then I feel like, so number one, it hides the distraction of other people trying to get a hold of me. And the other thing is that I really like about it is that when people go to text you, they see that your do not disturb is on. So it sets the tone for the response. It helps them recognize that it's not that I don't care about what you're saying. It's not that I don't want to respond to you. It's that I'm not actually available right now. And it helps, like you said, it sets the expectation, and it gives them the opportunity to also set boundaries. It's like, hey, I am setting boundaries, and I am also cool with you setting boundaries. So if I send you a text and you don't respond to me for 3 hours, I'm actually not going to be mad at you about that. I don't feel like this needs an immediate response, because if it did require a more urgent response, I would call you.
Right.
Like, I would make this more of an urgent situation. I would call you, I would leave you a voicemail, and I would say, hey, I would send you a text and I would say, hey, if you've got a minute to call me back, I just need a quick answer on this. And now you're setting the expectation very clearly of, like, this actually is an urgent issue. I am, like, standing at the counter right now and need this information.
Yeah.
Most communication is not that urgent. Most communication can sit there and wait. You don't need my immediate response on my availability next Friday. That can wait until I am done. Right?
Yep.
And then what it allows me to do is it allows me to then respond presently to the message at hand. The amount of times that I historically either misspoke, gave the wrong date or time for something, got halfway through a response and then never got back to it because one of the kids needed something.
All the time.
And then all of a sudden I'm, like, getting messages like, hey, are you ever going to respond to this? It's like, well, I kind of tried, and here's my half sent message, but here's the rest of it, you know? The do not disturb function for me, by far my favorite. It has helped me become way more efficient. It helps me get that barrier in place for when I have that message that does give me emotions, that I'm like, oh, I don't want to deal with this, you know? Like, I can handle everything else first. That's easy. I can take a break. I can just let my mind clear. And then when I've had a minute to process it, then I can go back and I can respond to that. And it takes away that need to always have an answer for somebody, always be ready to act and to do and to know exactly what's going on. And then you get into that decision fatigue and you're just like, I can't even function right now, let alone tell you what I'm doing next Friday. You know, if you're asking me today what I'm doing next Friday, sleeping's what I'm doing next Friday. Right? If I have to answer all of these messages the second they come in, I am sleeping next Friday. Right. Because I'm not going to sleep before then because I got a million messages coming in. Right. You know? So yeah. So do not disturb. We're trying to, my oldest just got a phone recently. We're trying to help him with setting boundaries and stuff like that, and letting him know because middle schoolers, you know, I mean, realistically, I think they send like over there's hundreds of text messages a day, and none of them have any. I shouldn't say they don't have any importance, but it's like emojis or like haha or hey, where are you? Hey, and it's like, oh my God. One hey was fine, guys. One hey was fine. And when they see it, they'll respond. Like, it's just a lot. So we don't allow him to have his phone in his room. So he charges his phone in our bedroom. 6:30 in the morning. Bring, bring, bring. I was like, let's discuss the do not disturb function. Do not disturb turns on immediately when you put the phone in and you're going ready to bed. And it does not turn off again until you are fully ready for school. That's how we're going to do this. Every time that you are doing your homework, we're going to turn that on because it sets the tone with them. It says, hey, he's not available to talk right now because he is focusing on a different task. So I'm hopeful that this will help him learn that, like, even as he goes into the workforce, to set boundaries with his coworkers, with his boss of like, I am actually currently functioning on a task. all of the research suggests that multitasking is not the most effective way to get things done.
Right.
You know? And so I am hopeful that this will say, like, it will help him build that boundary for others to say, like, this is the task I'm completing right now. I will get to that when I'm finished. You know? But yeah, do not disturb. Thank you to Nicole Short. She's the one who got me on this train, and it has been life-changing. Yes.
We love you.
Yes.
Rise Chiropractic.
Yes, Rise Chiropractic. Alrighty. So hopefully that was helpful for those involved as to how you can put up some boundaries to help kind of limit all of the negativity that could permeate our psyches, but doesn't have to permeate our psyches. Do you have anything else you would like to add?
Just likely when you guys feel real off and you feel like you're not yourself and there is a cloud over you, there's a cloud over you. The energy has latched on and you stepped in a bucket of muck.
Yeah. And we can clear that. It's not going to stay like that forever.
It's not going to stay that way forever. Absolutely. But oftentimes we get in that spiral of like, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm broken. You're not broken.
And then you start pulling at all of the things, you start seeing all of the things that you perceive are broken.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it could literally just be the fact that you were too vulnerable that day. You were a little too open and you stepped into a bucket of muck.
Yeah, stepped into a bucket of muck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Energy muck, just hovering around you.
Yep.
Well, so to recap, options here are setting verbal boundaries of I need to take a break from this for a second, curating your social media feed in order to show you the things that do bring you joy and don't necessarily bring you the muck, using your do not disturb function.
Yes. And not letting Ryan watch Bones when you're sleeping.
Exactly. Don't watch Bones while you're sleeping. It's a great show. It's a great show. Not while you're sleeping, though.
Not while you're sleeping.
We hope this was helpful. We hope everybody has an absolutely great and wonderful week and that you can all help curate your own environment to support you so that you can move into your day with a little bit more love and light. Thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful week.
Bye, friends.
Bye. Thank you for joining us in this thought-provoking discussion. I hope this episode has left you feeling well equipped with the wisdom and tools to declutter and detox your mind from negativity. Remember that the power to nurture your soul and safeguard your energy from the messages that drain you lies within your grasp. If you found value in what you heard today, share this episode with someone in your life that could use a little inspiration and elevation. And leave us a review telling us how these strategies have influenced you and what topics you'd love to explore in future episodes. Your feedback fuels our mission to empower and uplift. Check out the show notes below for more information about how you can connect with us and grow in your healing journey. And don't forget to subscribe to our Instagram for more invigorating and inspiring content on your feed. Until next time, keep your boundaries strong and your spirit resilient. Thank you so much for all your support, and we're sending you off with love and light.